And so how do you really get that ROI from your house? What can you do to increase the value of it and get paid for it? And yes, you can retrofit older homes. There are four main categories where you can do energy savings. And the easiest installation is insulation for both heat and cold. A couple of terms that might help you understand is thermal bridging and sealing the envelope. Thermal bridging is sealing or filling the between the studs with insulation, because sometimes there are gaps, especially at roof or bottom lines, like in the basement or at the roof line. Sealing the envelope means that the exterior is completely sealed against water penetration, melting snow. The last thing we want is wet basements. And here in the Midwest, we are very concerned about our basements all the time. I recently sold a remodeled 1970s home, and the contractor on that used rigid foam modeling sheathed with foil on one side against the wall, and that will protect the utility room completely against moisture. On the living room side that he completely finished, first, you have to put the studs in, and then he had sprayed in foam to make sure that that side was completely. So the basement will be a far more constant temperature. It will be completely sealed against moisture, mold buildup, change of temperatures. And you know what? There's another added advantage. It's soundproofing. So any of you who have musicians at home, I think you might appreciate that. If your kid has drums, insulate the basement. Another important area is roofing. And roofers lay down an insulation under the shingles, but on the underside, in the rafters, is where you have to put in heavy insulation. There's several different kinds. There are roll bats, and there are also spray-in. There's a website called HomeWise, HomeWyse, that gives you estimate on what your project should cost. That extra insulation will reduce your energy cost by as much as 20%. You know those little letters that CenterPoint Energy keeps sending out saying you're using 20% or 40% more energy than your neighbors? Number one, I don't know who those neighbors are, but maybe they have insulated and refurbished everything, but most not. But you can up yours quite easily with insulation. It gives you extra finished square feet and protection from noise, and that's street noise as well. You won't hear it as much. So number two are windows. If you hear whistling in the winter, you need no windows. This lovely window is full of frost, which means that is a very leaky window. If your windows aren't sealed tight and insulated on each side, basically like that photo, you have a hole in the wall. Single pane windows with storms are about the least effective. They're the oldest, and you remember the older homes. And here in Minneapolis, we still have some where you remove the storms in the spring and you put screens on instead. But most of the new windows have built-in sealed, so you don't need storms. They have built-in screens on the outside, a gap, and then are at least double paned. I changed my windows out a couple of years ago and found that on each side of the windows, the old leaky windows, there's about a 6-inch gap where they had a weight that went up and down to lift the windows and so that they would stay in place. And that was vacant. So that was a huge loss of energy right there. Here's a diagram from Pella. And this will show you, basically, this is a slice cut on how those windows are built. And you can see how thick the framing is and how tight the insulation is. I only chose Pella because it's a name that you would recognize. You can go on their website and they have a lot of information about what is a good window, what is energy saving, how to choose windows. So Home Depot, Menards, and Lowe's will only have a couple of lines of windows. And they tell me everybody shops on price and size. But it's really important that you understand what you're buying. Builders will use non-brand names you've never even heard of, but that produce an excellent window. One builder waxed on about a company in Wisconsin that I've never heard of. It's called H Windows, and the owner is Norwegian. He builds a very strong, a very tight window, but he doesn't do any marketing. And he's not carried in Lowe's or Menards, so nobody knows about him. Homes of the future are going to be all electric. And I know we're thinking about the Texas grid. What if it collapses and what if the power goes off? But all of the electric homes are built around the Tesla wall battery. Now, in this diagram, this is from Green Builder Home magazine. You can see in the garage there are a couple of batteries, and there are new batteries that are even bigger and stronger than the Tesla batteries. And the reason for that is an all electric on a battery. If the power goes out, you're still okay. Maybe your neighbors are or are not, but you are okay. So going back again to Tesla, the wall battery is not just to charge your car, it can charge your entire house, and it can store energy. And when you have excess energy, you sell it back to the utility company. Solar isn't just for California. We think, yep, it's 76 and sunny all the time, and we can't do it here in Minnesota. We absolutely can. Panels are becoming far more affordable, easier to install, and you might want to check out this website. Energy Sage, SAGE.com. It talks about tax credits. And in 2021, you can deduct up to 26% of the cost of installation on solar panels. If you need tax deductions, solar might be the way to go. Number 4 is heat pumps. There's a lot of conversation and a little bit of controversy around heat pumps. Mitsubishi is the leading manufacturer of heat pumps and claims that their model works up to 20 degrees below zero. It pulls heat out of the air. And I know when it's 0 degrees, how much heat is there? But there is enough to pull that around. But then the surrounding of the home or around the heat pump, the air will be much colder. There's a large initial investment, but unlike furnaces that last 12 to 20 years, they can last up to 40 years. And they're saving you energy for that entire time. So this is just the beginning of the conversation. We talked about insulation, windows, solar, and heat pumps.